Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, my name's Rachel. I'm Linda's daughter, and I usually work 1 to 2 days a week at the shop helping Anne, the cake artist, to decorate the cakes and make fondant models and generally bake and help out. So we thought it might be nice to come up with a little podcast so that it's a good excuse basically to have a sit down with a cup of tea and a slice of cake for a few minutes and just catch up and see what everybody's been up to since they've been in lockdown, and basically just to have a nice little chat with some friends and feel as if you're in a cafe somewhere. So here goes. So, how did you get into baking originally? What made you want to come up with the kitchen?
Oh, that's a big question, isn't it? I mean, I've always baked. My mum tells me that from the time I was sat in a high chair, she would give me a bit of pastry or something to roll out some jam tarts. So, it's quite good to put on my CV that I've got 60 years experience of baking. When you lot were all small, I used to love making cakes for you when you came home after school. Hopefully there would always be some muffins or cookies or something.
Yeah, I remember.
And also for your birthdays, I know sometimes you used to crave a cake from the supermarket, But,
Colin the Caterpillar?
Yeah, who doesn't love Colin the Caterpillar? But most of the time I used to try and do a special birthday cake, homemade cake for yourselves. I always remember when Sarah was 2, making a fairy castle with ice cream cones. Postman Pat, I think we did for Paul. Over the years, lots and lots of homemade birthday cakes. So I've always enjoyed baking, but it certainly wasn't something I ever imagined making into a career. It was in 2012 when I was sadly redundant from what I often fondly refer to as my proper job in international development, that I began baking, not really because I wanted to do it as a job, but as something that I was doing whilst I was applying for jobs. It was just like
more of a hobby.
It's a new skill I was developing. Even as I was saying that, I was thinking about how during this period of lockdown, many people are saying they've started baking bread or just baking cakes. It was, you've got a little bit of time on your hands. Because I'd been made redundant, I was applying for jobs. I did have time at home, and I began experimenting with cupcakes, lots and lots of different flavours, and then learning how to decorate them in different ways. So, buying new icing nozzles, buying little bits of kit to make sugar flowers and such like. It was ridiculous because we couldn't possibly eat all the cupcakes I was creating. So I started offering them to friends. Would you like to buy a few cupcakes off me? In fact, originally I think I just gave them away, and then people said, "Oh no, we'll buy them from you."
And when you originally started, what was the name of the company that you came up with?
Well, the very, 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 very original concept was when somebody said to me, "Now that you're, entering a new phase of your life, what are you going to do?" And I said, "I'm going to write, bake, create." And that was our kind of working title back then. And I still enjoy writing every bit as much as baking. When it came to the name for the cupcake company, Filled with Love, it was a little play on words, because one thing I liked to do was to fill the cupcakes so that when you bit into them, you had a bit of surprise. So they'd have jam or lemon curd or something inside. But I've always loved the idea that cakes taste so much better if they're made with love. And that name just came about, really. And we still sort of use it a little bit in the kitchen. And I'm sure when we emerge from this period, that name will also re-emerge.
Definitely. Excellent. Okay, so now we've covered how you got into baking and why you started up the business. I just thought we'd do a few quick fire questions to just for the people who don't really know you that well, just to get a bit more of an insight into what you like to eat, what you like to bake, and just to know a little bit more about you, really. So we'll start off with what is your favourite cake to eat?
Carrot cake. And again, when you're talking about passing things on through the genes, that's Paul's favourite cake as well, because as we as a family know, he made one very successfully this week.
He did. Paul is your son, for anybody who doesn't know.
So, yeah, I really, really enjoy a good carrot cake.
Excellent. And what is your favourite cake to make? Now, this might be slightly different because I know things like carrot cake and hummingbird, they are quite complicated recipes, aren't they? So is there a particular recipe that you enjoy making? Maybe it's because it's easier or because actually it's got more unusual ingredients in it?
I really like making cupcakes. There's something about getting the batter absolutely perfect, getting the right quantity into the cupcake wrapper, popping them in the oven and just standing and watching them rise, and you just see that perfect dough. And then when you take them out of the oven and they don't sink back and they don't peel away from the cases, you just know you've created a really perfect, super light cupcake, which then gives you an incredible canvas to decorate with buttercream or a really beautiful flower. And again, I do feel that when we reopen, cupcakes they're going to be a very, very big part of what we do, because you know, lots of big parties won't be happening for a little while, but if you're having a family celebration, what's nicer than a beautiful cupcake for everybody?
Definitely. And I think people now are steering away sometimes from the more traditional birthday cakes. I know some of the weddings I've been to, they've chosen to have more of a cupcake tower, or maybe baby showers, they use them as the favours. So they're just so versatile, aren't they? And it's a really nice take home for your guests.
Absolutely.
So rather than having to have the mess of cutting a cake and finding napkins and everything. Okie doke. So next, your favourite flavour combination. Now, this could be tricky because I know there's a lot.
This again is a tricky one, isn't it? Because I feel I should say something like salted caramel, which is really on trend, and obviously our sticky toffee and salted caramel loafkins are really popular. Yeah. And if anybody's interested, I am putting that recipe up on the blog. Ooh. So you'll be able to find that on the website probably over this weekend. But there's one flavour combination which is always going to be very special to me, and that is strawberry and vanilla. Because going back to that time when I was baking cupcakes at home and wondering what I was going to do because I wasn't managing to find another proper job, I did actually enter a competition, and it was at Fortnum & Mason's in London. And it was using Nadali vanilla, which unfortunately is unavailable at the moment, but it's a very, very, very good quality, wonderfully flavoured vanilla. Yeah. All you had to do was make something using Nadali vanilla, take it up to this gathering of Fortnum & Mason's, and there was a competition which was judged by a Sunday Times food critic, by the cake buyer from Fortnum & Mason, and various other foodie people. Yeah. And when I got there, I mean, some of the cakes on show were absolutely mind-blowing. They were incredible. Imagine. And I took some very delicately flavoured with the Nadali vanilla cupcakes, beautifully domed and filled with homemade strawberry jam, which I'd made myself that morning. Yeah. And just a little box of 6 cupcakes sat on the table along with all these other incredible cakes. And when it came to the judging, I just found myself a chair at the back of the room because I just thought it would be really interesting to see who won. And I was absolutely blown away when they called my name out. It was just amazing. And I won a Kenwood mixer.
That's where it all began.
I know. And I was just like featured in Delicious magazine. And from then on, shortly afterwards, I think I was in Woman and Home.
You've kept all the cuttings, haven't you, of all the magazines that you've appeared in over the years. And now we've had to get another folder for them because there's so many.
Absolutely. And it was really about that time when I won that competition that I sort of thought maybe I could make a go of this, and maybe I would stop applying for more proper jobs and make a career out of it.
And now make this your proper job.
Yeah, so basically people started asking me, will you make me some cupcakes, and then will you make me a big cake? Yeah. And that's probably actually something for maybe the next instalment, when we talk about the whole development of going from making cupcakes to
definitely
bigger celebration cakes, and how we came to move from working at home into the kitchen.
And just quickly to come back to when you were saying about your ingredients, so like the Nadali vanilla and everything, just maybe we could touch upon, I know it's really important to you to use the best ingredients because people mainly get into businesses to make money. And it would be a lot easier if you use cheap ingredients, if you bought in the biggest bulk you could. However, obviously that would reflect then on the taste of your cakes, and you are very much about sending out the best quality with the best ingredients, and that doesn't necessarily reflect in your profits. So just tell me a little bit about the ingredients you use, who you use for your main things like eggs and vanilla, and why that's important to you.
Yeah, this is a really big issue for us. We believe in purchasing things which are fairly traded and produced locally. And we have incredibly good contacts, really close contacts with Whiteheath Farm in Harefield. When new staff members join us at the kitchen, we try to make sure they visit the farm, they see the animals, they see how well looked after the cows are there, and the farmer will deliver the milk, the butter, the eggs, and the homemade ice cream to us on a daily basis. Very, very important that we have fresh, locally produced, high quality dairy products. There's a lot to be said for using small local suppliers.
Definitely.
And obviously we can't get everything from the local farm, but you know, we use companies that have really good, strong, ethical policies. So Barry Callebaut chocolate, we've looked into the way that the chocolate is produced, the suppliers, making sure that they're paid a fair wage. That goes for the cocoa powder as well, and our coffee. And we just don't compromise. You know, we won't use cheap vanilla essence. We'll make sure that we use fairly traded.
I think it's reflected in the taste of your cakes as well, isn't it? I mean, I know from a personal point of view, I bought a box. I was lucky enough to find a box of eggs in the Co-op the other day. And the size difference, they called them large eggs, but compared to the eggs that we get from Duncan's farm, they were half the size. And it just goes to show, doesn't it?
I really hope that when this is all over, there will be a big shift in people's perception of what good value means.
Definitely.
And that people will choose to buy good quality products. They'll realise that, you know, you do get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes people make comments, you know, on social media, and they say, oh, your cakes are expensive. And I just say they're not expensive. They may cost a little more, but that's because of all the things we've just been talking about.
Exactly. It's relative to all the ingredients. Even if you added up all the ingredients and did it for cost price, it would still be more than some people want to pay.
Absolutely.
But that's another topic anyway. Okay, so you obviously spend a lot of time at the kitchen. You call it your second home. Sometimes I think you probably spend more time at the kitchen than you do at home. So when you're at the kitchen, what would be your favourite hot drink to have that's on the menu at the shop?
Well, normally it would be a latte. I mean, that would always be my sort of go-to drink. But funny little story really is that whilst I've been up here during lockdown, I've just been here literally on my own. Couldn't be more socially distant. And I've been sorting through the stock, making sure that we're using up anything which is going to go out of date. You know, donating it to people, or making sure that somebody who needs something will get hold of it.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, you know, I've cleaned out the fridges and switched off the fridges, and haven't had a supply of fresh milk here. So I've been working my way through the tea pigs.
Good chance to try all the new flavours.
Yeah, the ginger, sort of like sweet ginger tea pig is a really, really good drink, and you feel as if it's kind of, you know, good for you.
It's doing, they always say, don't they, have lemon and ginger if you're feeling a bit poorly.
You you feel like it's doing your immune system some good, and you're getting lots of fluid, and you're not having, you know, too much milk all at once, really, because it's very easy. Like if you have a nice latte, isn't it, then to have another one and maybe another one as well.
Definitely.
So at least this way. So I would highly recommend that. And after lockdown, when people come back into the kitchen, if you haven't tried our tea pigs, then I would really recommend that you do.
And on that note, what's your favourite thing that's currently on the kitchen's menu? If you came in as a customer, what would catch your eye?
I'm a bit of a sucker for a smoked salmon and cream cheese bagel.
Me too.
Sort of been
You can't go wrong.
craving one of those lately, and yeah, I haven't had one of those for a little while. So yeah, I think that would be it. Or maybe the mozzarella with tomato and pesto panini.
I thought you might say that, or the one with the rocket and mango chutney.
Yes, and the blue cheese. And everybody says, who's opened the fridge? Because we can smell blue
That's
cheese.
the only thing with that one when it's on the special is every time you open the fridge, you get a lovely waft of egg mayonnaise and blue cheese. Lovely. Okay, now I think I probably know the answer to this one already, but I will see if you answer the same thing. So what is the main thing you miss about the kitchen whilst you're currently in lockdown?
The people. The people.
Ding!
And especially, I know I'm not, especially my kitchen babies.
Me
many
too.
of them aren't babies anymore. I mean, little Caris and Neris, they've grown up. Robert and Ellie and Rosie, all those little babies that we've seen. Their mummy's pregnant. Sometimes we've hosted their baby showers.
Yeah.
Freddie and Scarlett and just so many, and even like Willow and Oliver.
They're like your extended family, aren't they?
Yeah, and it sounds funny that I've spoken to them, but believe it or not, some of them have actually FaceTimed me, some of the families.
Aww.
So I've had little conversations with them online, which has been lovely. And
definitely.
One of them said to me, when this is all over, I'm going to have a party and I'm going to eat cake with you and Rachel.
Oh, that's so lovely. Do you know what? I think it's hard as well because not only are you feeling it with the customers, I think for a lot of customers, especially the new mums, they would use the kitchen on a daily basis as somewhere to get out of the house, come maybe for an hour just to sit down, have a sandwich, have somebody else hold their baby whilst they can enjoy a nice hot drink. And obviously they're probably finding it really hard at the moment that they maybe haven't got that place to go and just get out of the house. So...
And this is one of the huge challenges because lots of people have been asking me, why aren't you open, and suggesting business models that might enable me to make some money during the lockdown. So, creating products that can then be, delivered around Croxley or something like that.
Yeah.
But that is a very, very different business model because really at the heart of the kitchen it's the community and it's people coming here and gathering, and I think it would, even if we were doing takeaways, I think it'd be enormously difficult for people to come and not to stop and chat because they are like extended family. So we really do feel that we're trying to keep a little bit of it going. Obviously it's not the same, but online, and we've got a Facebook group, Friends of the Kitchen, and it's been really nice. People have been sharing pictures of what they've baked, asking their questions about baking. We have shared some of our recipes, and people are realising that sometimes they're actually quite challenging. And,
exactly.
They may well be back for a slice of ours when we reopen.
What do you think is the most popular cake that people buy from the kitchen?
Oh, well, we did a survey, I think it was just before Christmas, and Victoria Sponge came out tops, lemon drizzle, brownies, no question about it. So I think these are the cakes
the classics.
That people are making themselves at home, absolutely. But we've shared some recipes online already, actually for a carrot cake, and for our salted caramel brownies, and for our Victoria Sponge and our salted caramel cake. Those recipes are already up on the website, and the sticky toffee salted caramel loafkins will be there later today.
Delicious.
Because we think that, these sorts of times, some people, yes, they do want to try something new, and it might be a little bit difficult and more challenging.
Yeah.
But lots of people are baking with their children, and they want something that they can guarantee is going to turn out well. Definitely.
And that actually leads me on to my next question, because I was just going to round off with what you feel the easiest cake is to bake at home with minimal effort or ingredients whilst on lockdown.
I'd suggest making some muffins, because then you only really need flour, sugar, a bit of raisin ingredients, maybe some milk and oil. Perhaps chuck in some chocolate chips, or if they like dried fruit, you can put some raisins. Actually, what I'll do is I'll come up with a recipe, maybe pop that on the website over the weekend as well.
Delicious. That sounds good. And also, I think it's hard for people who don't bake on a regular basis. I know from, I've passed on a couple of recipes recently, and a lot of the time, I think recipes come about because people have experimented. So if you don't have something in the cupboard, I mean within reason, but try substituting something else. So if it says chocolate chips and you haven't got any, cut up a chocolate bar. Or if it says raisins and you don't like raisins, put cranberries in. Just experiment and have a bit of fun with it. And maybe you'll come up with something that you can then pass on to somebody else.
Yeah, I'd say exactly the same. If you can't get hold of vanilla extracts, apparently that's in very short supply at the moment again.
Yeah.
Put some lemon rind in and make a nice lemon sponge instead of a Victoria sponge, like a classic vanilla sponge. You can often adapt recipes. And if you need sunflower oil and you haven't got any, then you can maybe, put in some vegetable oil. If you haven't got, particular type of milk, you can often substitute in a different one.
Definitely. And what's your favourite tip if you haven't got any self-raising flour?
That's a real challenge. If you haven't got self-raising flour, if you've got some plain flour, then obviously you can make some brownies or something like that. If you haven't got any flour at all, sometimes you can manage something with, if you've got some ground almonds. But flour, I think, is probably like gold dust.
Yeah.
Baking ones at the moment.
Definitely. Okay, lovely. Well, that kind of sums up the first podcast. So hopefully that was a nice little introduction into the kitchen and how it came about and a little bit more about you. And then maybe next time we'll get into more of a subject that we can delve into. And you can join us again next week on Linda's Lockdown Bites.
Look forward to that very much. Lovely to talk to you.
And you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.